All right, let's break this one down. So, to set the stage, this is an extended blues in A. So instead of having a 12-bar blues, we're extending it to 24 bars. And the key to this thing is basically going to be the picking hand, all right? So there's going to be some tricky stuff in regard to hybrid picking here that we're going to want to take care of. So before we even get started with the lick itself or the groove itself, let's take a look at what we're going to do with our picking hand. A good portion of this thing, I'm using my middle finger and ring finger of my picking hand on the D and G strings. And I'm plucking upward with those. And while I'm plucking upward with those, I'll alternate with downstrokes on the A string with the pick. So if you're new to chicken picking or hybrid picking, whatever you want to call it, I would say maybe before you dive into this, maybe just even take a look at, grab an A chord and just D and G strings with the middle and ring finger, pluck up and then down with the pick on the A string. Maybe alternate. All right, so that'll get you started. Now let's dive into this thing. So we'll start in A, all right? And we'll do just what I said, where we'll pluck up on the D and G strings with a good old-fashioned A chord. Now, we're not going to play the B string. We're just playing the notes E and A on the D and G strings. From there, a couple times there, we've got 3 and 4 on the A string. That's a note C to C sharp. Pluck that, hit the bass note. Kind of just going to alternate between that. And a lot of times country players will manipulate that stuff and vary the riffs slightly, but still with that 8th note pocket. I did a little slide there in the playing example. So I'm sliding from the 4th fret on the D string and the 3rd fret on the G string up a half step to the 5th frets and 4th frets respectively. So F sharp and A sharp to G and B. All right, let's see what we've got so far. So when I came back down on the D and G string, did that same move. This time I grabbed F sharp and A back to our A chord. And that sets us back up for our pattern. Slow it down. We're going to roll. That sets us up for our 4 chord. Now, we won't be playing all the notes of a D7, but this is basically a D7 vibe we've got going on here. We've got the root, the 5th, and the 7th. So those are 3 important notes of D7. So D, A, and C. With our picking hand, we'll keep up the same alternating pattern. Middle finger and ring finger of our picking hand on the D and G string. Pick doing downstrokes on the A string. With the D7 portion, we've added a couple of extra things here. I'm using my pinky to play the note F, going up to F sharp on the A string. And then I'm grabbing the note B on the D string and letting that kind of ring out slightly with the note C at the same time. You get a little bit of a rub there, which is kind of cool. It's basically the same bass pattern that we played on the A chord down low. All right, let's recap what we've got so far. back to the A. Now we finally get to the 5 chord, our low E, and we have open, low E, the note B at the 2nd fret of the A string, and then the note E at the 2nd fret of the D string. Same pattern with our picking hand, and basically the same bass note pattern as well. I did do a little bit of a variation on this on the playing example, so let's check that out a little bit. So what I did there is same thing, but here I slid up from the note C sharp on the A string and the note G on the D string up a half step to D and G sharp, which gives us the 7th, flatted 7th, and natural 3rd of E7. From there, I grabbed the note D and F sharp on the A and D strings respectively, down to the 2nd fret for B and E. Let me play it. All right, so that's the E pattern, and then finally, we get a D chord. All right, so that's gonna be played open, and the trick here is we're gonna hit the D chord, let it ring, and then mute the D string in an 8th note rhythm along with it. All right, so that's that. Then we have basically a G chord with C in the bass, so we have the open D and G strings, the note D at the 3rd fret on the B string, and then high G, but with C in the bass. And we'll do that same thing there where we play the chord and then play 8th notes on the A string muted. So we're just basically muting the bass note of the chord and letting the rest of the chord ring out. That's a nice effect, and guys in Nashville do that all the time. All right, from there, we have a nice little pull off. The note C, 3rd fret on the 5th string, up to D, 5th fret, back to C, pull off from C to A, and then grab a G. Tricky little rhythm there. So just before that, back home, E. So that's the whole thing. I know I was talking a lot there and kind of breaking some things down here and there in between. Let me play the whole thing for you slowly so you get the idea of the vibe here. Also, I should mention I'm using the bridge pickup of the Telecaster as well before we get there. And I would recommend that sound maybe rolled off on the tone a little bit. Some of the guys in Nashville use thumb picks and actually fake nails on their picking hand. I don't really do that, but to each his own, I guess. You do get a different sound and different articulation with that for sure. Just thought I should mention it. All right, here we go. All right, so that's basically it. I did a couple of variations there, but I think you get the idea. Have fun with it.